Hello students, this is your Mr. GST CA Vishnuvardhan. In this video, I am going to teach you how to approach the first question in your CA Inter or CMA Inter or CS Executive, any sort of GST related exam where the question will be for net minimum GST payable. So how do you calculate your net GST payable? So in this question, I am going to solve one CA Inter mock test paper question and how to approach that particular question for 10 marks and what are the adjustments, how you should do that, how you should tackle that problem all about. So that is what we are going to see in this video. So without wasting our time, let us move into the question. So the question is all about this. So this is, I repeat, a mock test paper question. So MTP series 1 Jan 2025 exam question this is. So in this, obviously, first question will be regarding net minimum GST payable most of the cases. Now sir, how do we approach that question? Students, please understand, when we are going through the question which is all about net minimum GST payable in cash, what are the key points we should keep in mind? First of all, see, the key points we have to keep in mind is, first identify who is the taxpayer here, whether it is individual, partnership firm or HUF or body corporate, all that stuff. So who is the taxpayer here? Understand here, if you see in this question, Miss Shreya, proprietor of Happy Enterprises. So this is a sole proprietor business. The sole proprietor name is Shreya and she is registered supplier of taxable goods and services. And the next important thing what you have to identify is what is the nature of business is what you have to identify. So what they are doing. So she is a registered supplier of taxable goods and services. So she is trading. And in which state is the another important thing. So she is belonging to West Bengal, right? So these are the things. And another important aspect is the question is related to which particular tax period. Here if you see, it is December 2024, right? So these are the basic things which you should identify, right? So I repeat, we should identify what is the status of taxpayer. Next, what is the nature of business. Next, you should see from which state they are, and finally we should see what is the tax period in the question. These things you should be clear before starting the question, right? Okay sir, fine. So we will identify these questions. Why? Because see, first, based on taxpayer, you should understand certain RCM provisions, certain exemptions will be applicable to body corporates, certain things will not be applicable to body corporates. So that way you should be able to identify who is the taxpayer. So this is number one. Number two, nature of business. Why we should see the nature of business? The reason is, for manufacturers, traders, composition scheme limits, all these things will differ. So you should understand, and certain cases based upon the nature of business also, you will be able to get some ITC and you will not be able to get some ITC, all that stuff. So you should understand the nature of business. And next, of course, you should see which state this person belongs to, because to categorize the supplies as intrastate and interstate, this state is very important, of course. And finally, the tax period. Why the tax period is relevant for us? Now please understand, in this question they have given the information to you with respect to December month, but in the question, if they are asking you to calculate the net minimum GST payable, see, for example, if you look at the question, what is the question? Question is asking net minimum GST payable in cash for the month of December. So in this December month, what is the net minimum GST payable in cash is what they are asking. Information in the question may belong to November, may belong to Jan. So the concept is, sir, whenever you are going with any taxation question, please understand tax period is very, very important, because in the question some details will be given to preceding period and some details will be given to subsequent period. So we should consider only the details which are given for the current particular period for which the question is being asked, right? So that is the point. Fine. Okay. So keeping these things in mind, we should proceed with the question. Now, see, when the question is about net minimum GST payable in cash, you understand how do you calculate the net minimum GST payable in cash. So how do you calculate the net minimum GST payable in cash? For this, please understand, the formula should be simple output tax minus input tax. Sir, your step 1 is calculating output tax. Step 2 is calculating input tax. Are you understanding the point? Step 1 is calculating output tax. Step 2 is calculating input tax. And finally, step 3 will be the net minimum GST payable in cash. You will get the answer. So now, when we are going with step 1, calculation of output tax, guys, I repeat, any question, this will be the format. This is what, see, I'm not saying this is the format, but this is the logic. If you break down these 3 steps, automatically the answer will be over. Now, calculation of output tax payable. Calculation of output tax payable. Sir, you tell me, for calculating output tax, what are the details you should be needing? Obviously, you should be needing the details of sales. Yes or no? You should be needing the details of your outward supplies. That means nothing but sales. Here, your sales can be intrastate or interstate, and your sales can be covered under FCM or covered under RCM, or your sales can be taxable or exempt. That means, please understand, you should be thorough with what? Schedule 1, Schedule 3, RCM, exemptions. So, you should be covering all these topics to solve this particular question. So, you should be thorough with that. So, we should identify some sales may be taxable, some sales may be exempt, some sales may be covered under FCM, some sales may be covered under RCM, some sales may be intrastate, some may be interstate. Keeping all these things into mind, you should calculate the output tax. And the same logic applies even also for purchases. So, keeping these things in mind, we should calculate input tax for purchases, right? So, this is what first thing we have to do. So, calculation of output tax payable. And when you are going through calculation of output tax payable, see what is the format you have to follow. See, first of all, we should go with the particulars, and there will be amount column. See, in all ICA study material or practice, like any RTP question, MTP questions, in the suggested answers, they would have given amount, CGST, SGST, IGST, but you follow a format. First, you write IGST, CGST, and SGST. So, this way you fill the format. So, this will be your format. Okay. So, this will be your format. Now, please understand, in this particulars, what should I do? Sir, in this particulars, you should decode the information given. Decode the information given in the question. Now, if you take up this question, see, in this question, they have been literally very generous with us. They have clearly segregated the outward supplies and inward supplies. Otherwise, in some questions, you may get confused with respect to the adjustment. Sometimes what will happen, you may misunderstand an outward supply as inward supply, and you may misunderstand an inward supply as outward supply. So, your output tax will become input tax, your input tax will become output tax. So, you should be thorough with what is sale, what is purchase. Here, they have clearly segregated them. Now, coming to the point. See, first, when you are going through the supply, as I already told, you should be careful whether it is intrastate or interstate, taxable, exempt, RCM, FCM. Now, sir, first transaction, intrastate supply of goods. They only gave that is intrastate supply, no complication. To Messrs. Reliable and Sons, 7 lakhs. Now, sir, what is the adjustment for this particular one? Sir, this is nothing but being very simple, like it is not seeming any exempt or all that stuff. So, it seems to be taxable. So, taxable, what we have to do? We should charge GST on that. And this is being intrastate supply. We should know GST rates here. So, if you look at the bottom of the page, they have given all goods subjected to 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, 5%, services 9%, 9%, 18%. So, when you are doing the problem, please understand, this GST problems are not that lengthy problems, or not like your amalgamation, consolidation problems, all this stuff. So, working notes also while solving the question itself, here itself, if you are finishing it in the particulars, that will be more than sufficient. So, now first one, intrastate supply of goods to Reliable and Sons. I am just giving you a short notes here. So, intrastate supply of goods to Reliable and Sons. Okay, so that way you write. And here amount column, yes, it is 7 lakhs. And because it is intrastate supply, IGST will not come. So, CGST, here itself, what you have to do, huh? Sir, you should make sure you are doing the calculation here itself. 7 lakh into 2.5%, 7 lakh into 2.5%. So that way here itself you should make the calculations. So here itself you make sure you're writing the details. Now, so here itself you make the computation. So how much is 7 lakh into 2.5%? 2.5%. It is 17,500. 17,500. Don't misunderstand me because of my handwriting, all that. Please excuse me. I just want to finish this video quickly so that your time will be saved. So ignore my handwriting, how I am writing. Just focus on the concept. So this way we have did the first adjustment. Now second adjustment. What is the second adjustment? Intrastate transfer of goods to its branch office in the state of West Bengal. Both the places are under same GST. If you see, this is nothing but a branch transfer, and this is also without consideration. If you see schedule 1 distinct persons concept, here these are located in the same state and having same registration. They cannot be called as distinct persons. So supply between them without consideration will not be treated as supply, and hence there is no GST obligation here. So what you should do, second one, you should write the point here. So stock transfer, here you should write the explanation. See, generally working notes and all you don't do after the problem is over, all that stuff. Here itself you just write down the reasons for your adjustments. So stock transfer, what you should do, you should say that here, one second, here two branches are registered under same GSTIN. Hence, I repeat, please ignore my handwriting. Hence, they are not distinct persons. They are not distinct persons. So, supply between them shall not fall under schedule 1, and because there is no consideration, it is not a supply. How much is the amount? The amount is 1 lakh rupees. In the amount column you just fill 1 lakh rupees, and here you just write down nil nil nil, simple. So that way you have to do the adjustment. So the point is, what I am trying to highlight here is working note here itself you please make sure you are finishing, right? So that is the thing. Next, third one, what is the third one? Third one is permanent transfer of old computers to orphanage home without consideration. Input tax credit not availed. That is important here. If you remember, again schedule 1 transactions are permanent transfer or disposal of business assets on which ITC was availed, then without consideration the permanent transfer or disposal will be treated as supply. Here they have not taken ITC. This permanent transfer or disposal is happening without consideration. So again, this is not satisfying schedule 1 scenario, and hence this is not supply. So here you have to write permanent transfer or disposal of old computers to the orphanage. Below that you should write down no consideration, no supply. This is not satisfying schedule 1 para 1 because ITC was not available on the old computers. So that way you write the reason, that will be more than sufficient. That means I am just trying to tell you that here itself you please cover the reasons. Okay. Next, so what is the amount here? 80,000. So I will just fill here 80,000. And GST implications, nothing, sir. Okay, so we have decoded that sale also. Next, what is the last sale? Advance received for future supply of management consultancy service. You know, advances received are immediately taxable, and this is intrastate supply, 40,000. So advance received for future supply to Mr. Shubham. So what you will write here? Fourth point, sir, we will write advance received from Mr. Shubham. So you write there, and here write down time of supply section 13 subsection 2. Sir, according to that, advances received for services are immediately taxable. So that reason you write here. Okay, what is the amount? Sir, amount is nothing but 40,000. 40,000, and this is service and intrastate. So 9%, 9%. So 40,000 into 9%, 3,600, 3,600. Same 40,000 into 9%. So if you understand, we have completely decoded all the sales. So what is the total output tax now here. So sir, if you see total output tax, one figure we have got. Okay, so here if you see total output tax IGST 0, and this one 17,500 plus 3,600, so 21,100. Okay, so here if you see, this step is over for us. Now we have go to the second step. What is second step? Calculation of input tax. Here itself you can continue in the table. So what is that? Calculation of same way. What we have to do? Calculation of input tax credit. So again, particulars, amount, IGST, CGST, STST. So again, same way you should be giving the details. Okay, so in the particulars itself you should give the reasoning, all that stuff, and you should fill the details. So for example, here if you see purchases, there are 3 purchases. Purchase of taxable goods from registered suppliers, obviously 8 lakhs, eligible for ITC. Purchase from taxable registered person, so no complications, nothing. Okay, so here if you see, how much is the amount? 8 lakhs. And goods, what is the GST rate? And this is also, if you see, intrastate supply, clearly they have given intrastate supply. All the inward supplies given here are nothing but intrastate supplies. Okay, so 8 lakhs into, you will not get anything in IGST, you will get in CGST how much? 8 lakhs into 2.5%, that is 20,000. So here you can write down 8 lakh into, I repeat again, excuse my handwriting. Okay, so 20,000. Okay, so here also same calculation, 8 lakhs into 2.5%. One purchase adjustment we have made. What is the another purchase? The another purchase is availed works contract services for repair of office building. Amount of repair was debited in the profit and loss account. You know, works contract services ITC is blocked as per section 17 subsection 5, but when it is not capitalized you can take ITC. So the point is, here you should write that. Here what you will write in the reason? Works contract services received for business purpose, ITC shall be blocked under section 17 subsection 5 except where such expenditure has not capitalized. So here it is not capitalized, so what you can do, you can avail ITC. Hence here ITC can be availed. How much is the amount? 30,000. So 30,000, and this is service, so 30,000 and this is service, so you have to go with 9% and 9%. So how much? 2,700. Okay, so this is second purchase. If you see the third purchase, what is the third purchase? Avail the legal services from an advocate to represent the matter in court relating to collection of disputed proceeds from customers. Purchasing legal services in the course of furtherance of business. So this is for business entity only. Sole proprietor is also business entity. If you understand, business entity means even a person carrying on business. Individual is also person carrying on business is a business entity. So taxable under GST, because here if you see, they clearly gave aggregate turnover of Mrs. Happy Enterprise in the preceding financial year exceeds the threshold limit liable for registration. That means legal services, these people cannot claim any exemptions. It is taxable and taxable under RCM. Okay, so 50,000. Again I repeat, here what you should do, you should clearly write down the services explanation. Sorry, legal services received for business by Ms. Shreya is a business entity, and she is having an aggregate turnover in the preceding financial year exceeding the threshold limit liable for registration. Hence it is taxable under RCM, like that you write. And one important point is, even though this is an RCM supply, because it is an inward supply for you, you can happily avail ITC. Please understand that. So here IGST nil and 50,000 into 9%, 4,500. Again here 4,500. So 50,000 into 9%. So all the purchases are over. If you see total ITC here, total ITC IGST is nil. 20,000, 22,700, 22,700 plus 4,500. So it is 27,200, 27,200. So we have calculated both the steps. We have got output tax, we have got input tax also. Here people might be having doubt. Please wait till the end, till the solution is done. You will understand the logic. Those who don't know about this adjustment, remember RCM purchase is also purchase for you. You can happily take ITC. So now the final step is net minimum GST payable in cash. Now if you see output tax, IGST, CGST, SGST, sir, it is 21,100, 21,100, 0. But if you look at ITC, here it is easy because they did not test your knowledge on utilization rules. ITC balance, utilization rules, knowledge, they are not testing in this question because they are testing your knowledge of various other concepts. They don't want to complicate it further, so they are just leaving you. So happily IGST, ITC balance is already 0 and liability is also 0. You have only CGST, SGST payable, CGST, SGST, ITC. So you can straight away set off. Your payable is 21,100, 21,100, but ITC is 27,200. So here you can use ITC 21,100 for both, and hence payable becomes 0. So net GST payable becomes 0 on sales. But sir, as you have been already guessing, yes, there is an RCM liability. That RCM liability you should add. RCM liability is 4,500 and 4,500. So that will be added to the liability finally. So the net minimum GST payable in cash will be 0, 4,500, 4,500 CGST and SGST, and ITC carry forward will be 27,200 minus 21,100. So ITC carry forward they did not ask in the question, but ITC carry forward CGST will be 6,100, SGST 6,100, because in this you have used only 21,100, 21,100. You will be having still 6,100, 6,100, which you will carry forward. Okay, so now please understand here, sir, when there is any RCM liability, actually just treat it like a normal purchase. Take ITC, solve the entire problem, find out net GST payable in cash, net minimum GST payable in cash, and finally whatever the answer is there, you should pay your RCM liability in cash. So to discharge that RCM liability, add that RCM liability in cash to the final answer. Then you will get net minimum GST payable in cash on your outward supplies, inward supplies covered under RCM, everything. So the total GST liability will get the answer. So this is how you approach the first question, right? So keeping in mind all these things and keep it very simple. Net minimum GST payable in cash, you should know output tax, you should know input tax, and you should know to set off them. For that, you should decode the sales properly, you should decode the purchases properly. While decoding the sales and purchases, as I already told you, you should know what is taxable, what is exempt, what is RCM, what is FCM. Okay, what is intrastate and what is interstate. So keeping all these things in mind, if you go with the question will be definitely easy. So wishing you all the very best for your upcoming exams. See you all in another video. This is your Mr. GST signing off. Jai Hind.